Welcome into additional review. We are doing an interview today. Our interview with Jonathan Geffner, the executive producer, writer, and lead actor for The Dummy Detective, and Rob Margolies, the producer and director for the film as well. So thanks for joining us, guys. I'm Nick. Adam's with me. We're all here. I hope you guys are having a good afternoon so far.
Yes, especially happy to join you here.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we've already watched the film. This is in the middle of a review, but I'm going to release this so everyone just can see it individually as well. I'm going to start off with the question that I'm just really interested in, because as I was watching this film, one question came up immediately for me. What is in your estimation, your target demographic for The Dummy Detective?
You mean age-wise, or you mean the type of audience?
A little bit of both. Mm-hmm.
Well, Rob could answer as well. You want to answer first, Rob, what your thoughts are on it?
Sure, yeah. I think it's definitely an art house audience, but I think that, in my opinion, that the rating of the movie, if I were a member of the MPAA and we were going that route, I would give this like a PG. I don't think there's really anything too objectionable in the movie at all. There's some innuendo in it, but my 10-year-old son watched the movie and he didn't pick up on any of it. So it's like I feel like children are not going to pick up on it, and hence it should be a PG general sort of audience. And I think that the kind of child that does want to watch something that is like a little bit more than your average Disney film could really enjoy it and get into a genre that they're not exposed to. So in my opinion, it's a family film for just about anybody who wants to watch something different. I feel like it's a very, very wide audience of intelligent moviegoers that want to see something different. That's my answer.
And that's what we thought going into it as well. We saw the detective noir, but then as we moved through watching it, we were like, this is really an appropriate movie for a broad spectrum of ages. And
yes, I agree with Rob, how he described it. That's what I was intending to do as well, hoping that would be. Some of the critics already who have reviewed it have said that it's an adult film, not for kids. A couple of them did. It strikes people different ways, apparently, but I feel like it's mainly directed for adults, and it's not childish. However, as Rob said, as you're saying too, I think most kids would enjoy it as well, and I don't think it's inappropriate, because the stuff that is potentially inappropriate, they're not going to get anyway.
Yeah, I actually did watch it alone, and then with my children even, and they enjoyed it. They really did. So, and they like Scooby Doo. They kind of like the darker children topics, so they were into this. Yeah, Adam, do you have a question you want to ask next?
The thing that fascinates me the most, Jonathan, and I had question, let me start with this. When we're talking about past work that you've done in development of this character and the work that you've done, especially with your three main. Also, let's start with this. Common nomenclature for, is it a puppet? Is it?
Puppet is fine. You want to know the official word terminology for my partner Suede and all similar ventriloquist partners is ventriloquial figure, but that's a mouthful. So dummy is fine too, by the way. There are some ventriloquists who are a bit sensitive about that. They don't like calling
Whenever
dummy.
I see it in an act, it's always like, who are you calling the dummy? And so I thought maybe that was insulting.
Yeah, that's kind of trope, like age-old trope. But I'm fine with calling them dummies, hence the title of the movie.
Right. So I guess what I was wondering, looking at some of your older work, obviously these are characters that you've been developing and working on for quite some time. Is there any sort of canon to this universe that you're building, or are these all individual stories?
Well, I'm flattered by the question itself, because my perception of what it means of a canon is something that is usually something much more established and well known. I have a limited reach so far. I'm hoping The Dummy Detective will take it to a much broader audience. So I doubt whether there are too many people out there arguing about what should be part of canon or not. But I do feel that I always wanted to have the leeway to present my world, this universe that I was creating, in different ways open to interpretation. So therefore, each world is a little bit different, sort of the baseline reality that we need to, or how much suspension of disbelief we need, is a little different in each project I've done.
Okay.
Excellent. So let's say in the Dummy Detective, the dummies are not family members and actual like individual entities.
Well, yeah, they're not apparently autonomous, but I did want to leave that question open. I didn't want to
Okay.
say apparently because I wanted the viewers to wonder, and I didn't want to give an answer about that exactly. Like, could they possibly be autonomous, or is it all in Trillo's head and in Elliot Black's head, the other ventriloquist who's in the movie?
Wonderful, and that did play through, I do believe. So, I'm going to ask a question about the process here a little bit. So, when the dummies are speaking off, and you're not on screen, Jonathan, do you still practice? Are you still venting them at this point, or are you doing an overdub?
uh, any scenes where we start off with a puppet in proximity to me, where I'm holding the puppet, whichever puppies, we have a couple other puppets in the movie as well. He's the main one, Suede, who's sitting here. But I always ventriloquized during the shooting. So
Okay.
because we used different shots like or angles. So sometimes we start with two shot and then we go to close ups. It would I continued the venting, whether it was because I didn't know which shots they're going to use in the editing anyway. So I was always venting. However, if there was those shots where the puppets are clearly away from me, that the Trillo, the character, is not operating, cannot operate him, then we did it a couple of different ways. Some of them I did on camera, if I remember right then, but like someone else would coordinate. And some of it we did, I did voiceover later on. I don't remember which we did more. Maybe Rob remembers better.
I think that you pretty much just did it off camera for those shots, like pretty much almost
Yeah,
exclusively, right?
I guess so. Yeah, most of the time. I think there was just a few instances where it was maybe hard to sync it because someone else operating the puppet. So we did it later on. I know how we addressed that. Sometimes even right then, like first someone would operate the puppet, then even right there on set, I then did the voiceover rather than later on. There were a few times though when that didn't work. We didn't have time because we were under the gun to shoot, so we did it later.
This makes sense, and so I imagine then with all the voices that you vent, you can do them with or without the dummy. I just feel like it would be more difficult when you don't have the physical object with you. But
It actually feels weird to me whenever I do their voice, and I'm not holding them,
yeah,
I'm not operating them. Very often people ask me, "Oh, do that voice." I have a lot of different puppet characters that I use in my shows too, as well as the few in the movie. And sometimes people say, "Oh, do his voice, do Sway's voice," and I usually decline because it feels icky to me. Like that belongs to him. He has to be here. I can do it though.
I appreciate that so much.
yeah. Why don't you take us away, Adam? That's awesome. I love that.
Right. Rob, for you, I wanted to ask when getting this script and working on it with Jonathan, I mean, if anybody that's seen like noir whodunit kind of thing saw the tropes that are brought through. Was there anything that like caught your eye maybe when you were younger or when you were developing this movie that you wanted to lean into? I got a bit of a Clue feeling from The Home, and the inability to leave the house. So that kind of trope of being trapped in an environment that you can't leave. But is there anything that was like inspiring to you or inspired you during this?
Honestly, that's a good question. Like, I guess just like how different it was. Like, it was definitely like it's not something that I've ever tackled before, and I was just going for kind of making it like its own voice. But like, I'm a big fan of like Gosford Park, and just like having something that like is sophisticated on that sort of level. But like, I mean, for that kind of movie, I would never show my children. Like, they'd be bored after 5 minutes. But I think that, like, adding in like the puppets for this movie adds like an element to, like, Gosford Park, that kind of, like, I mean, like, how often can you say, like, like a Jim Henson and Gosford Park in the same sentence, in a sense, you know what I mean? And that's sort of what, like, mostly, like, intrigued me to the concept initially. It's just like the blending of two worlds that are never like blended. Yeah, I think that's what intrigued me most. But of course, like, yeah, it is, it's sort of similar to Clue, but I think it's also so different, in a sense. Um,
It was kind of, did you ever like Seven Keys to Baldpate? Did you ever watch that production?
I haven't.
no,
Yeah, it
never.
had a lot of like that vibe too. That's like an old play. But it reminded me of all of these, and it definitely not unique in its very own special way. I'm going to say that I thought in the movie the uniqueness of the ventriloquism and the kind of like touching on what is it that is happening with the ventriloquists. Is this a conversation? Is this a possibly a mental illness? Is this a superpower? What is this that is causing? There was such an intense moments in this film, that I thought brought such like a depth and a complexity to it that would be completely impossible. Well, then it fascinated me. And then going back and kind of looking at and I'm going to call it canon, Jonathan, because I'm the one doing it.
Okay.
Um, Looking at the canon of these characters and how they've been developed over time. The grandma character I love her. When you show the photo, let's say in Oxford Park, of the family, right? And you have the puppet grandmother, Sarah, and all of this. I understood this movie so much more, I feel like, because I was like, I get it now. I get what we're looking at. We're not looking at an obvious slap in the face. This is just a guy with a dummy doing detective work. There's a whole underlying story there of, I guess the question is, I'm not sure what, and is that the intention? Like, we're not supposed to know?
Well, I alluded to earlier when you asked me a question about this, about the canon, how each of the projects I've done are a little different in the manifestation of this weird universe, but they're all within a weird universe in my mind of playing with the line, exploring the line between reality and illusion. So in Oxford Park, it was more supernatural. It was more the way I wanted to present it was a world in which puppets and humans do intermingle and even interbreed. So that's more far out, more of a fantasy kind of concept. This is my first feature film. I did also another short film a few years ago, Casa Noir, which is a parody of Casablanca, and that was also more along the lines of Oxford Park. For this one, I wanted to be a little different, a little bit more realistic, in the traditional sense of I wanted everything to be plausible, at least physically plausible, that things could be more reality based as people know it. But I didn't want that to be a slam dunk. I wanted the possibility to be out there that there might be more going on, that maybe these puppets really are autonomous, and maybe there is some deep psychological illness that is kind of inherent in ventriloquism. But I didn't want to give the audience the answers. I want them to draw their own conclusions.
That very strongly came through. And Jonathan, I'm going to say it was my favorite part of the movie.
Oh, glad you liked it.
I'll ask a question about this specific film in regards to like the backstory in it. So Elliot Black, the character of Elliot Black, the lone radio show host, right? As far as it went with the crew and people who were shooting with him, and Elliot, Ed Altman himself, what was the consensus? Did he have listeners?
Well, if I could answer what I think, what was in my mind about it, but I really can't speak. I'm not sure about cast and crew. Maybe Rob has a better idea or some sense about that. If anyone talked about it that I'm not aware of, because I don't remember being privy to such discussions about that. I don't know. Does Rob, do you know about that or think
No,
about the film?
you kind of answered it yourself through the voice of Harriet Hubbard, who played by Sean Young. You said in the script, and this is what when I first read it, this is kind of I had like a one vision for it, and that's like maybe a couple of drinks and a couple of drunks in the nearest bar, But on that particular night with the storm, I don't think that the signal would have transmitted. So on that particular night where the story takes place, no one was listening. But in general, there might have been one or two drunks somewhere in a bar.
Wonderful.
That's my thought on it.
Yeah,
that's what we were hoping.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking as well. But I also, at least in my mind, wanted the considered the possibility, especially in the last scene, which I won't give away spoiler, but the kind of shocking thought occurring to Trillo that maybe no one has ever listened to his podcast, his radio broadcast, but we don't know. I mean, it could be because he's so disconnected from reality more than we might have thought, that it's possible that he never even hooked up his radio properly to the signal all these years, and he thought that he was logged in. He never was, and maybe no one has ever heard his show, but we don't know.
I really love that answer. That's so good. Yeah, Adam, why don't you take us away?
So what I guess earlier in the clarification, I think I got the answer, but in this film, are the puppets an extension of the character, or the puppets individual characters? And I think Rob and Jonathan can both answer that on their own. Did you direct them as individual entities within the space, or did you direct them as an extension of Jonathan's character?
That would be for Rob.
I definitely wanted them to have their own voice and feel like they were their own characters for sure. Just because they're so different than the character of Trillo himself, who's played extremely serious, and he's a straight man of the story. I feel like Suede would be a straight man as well, but he has a much more sort of sassy, direct, blunt sort of viewpoint that Trillo might not always have per se. I think Trillo has more tact than Suede would have. And as far as the other puppets go, Ezra, is very different. He's more of he's much more immature than Trillo or Suede. And then and of course Miss Levinsky, of course, is so different. She's like an old Jewish woman who I don't think Trillo could ever be, for that matter. So they're all completely different, in my opinion. I definitely wanted to treat them differently as well.
And when we were looking at the scene where he has, and this is the other gentleman, is on the stage, and his puppet starts dunking on him, right? And was that flashback a reality, or was that flashback did that actually happen in the movie? Or was it just his idea? Did the puppet actually talk trash on the whole crowd?
Well, it was meant to actually have happened, to be an incident, because Harriet Hubbard also refers to that when she's setting up to Chloe in that opening discussion, saying that I was there that night when I saw him lose control. So I meant that to be something that actually happened.
Okay.
Wonderful.
There's so much fascinating depth there to dig, in all honesty, as a concept. I love it. The line between mental illness and possibly actual reality of, I love it. It's so good. And it's it wasn't something I was expecting to find in this movie. And that's why I have so many questions about it. And one of the big things I'm about in films, you can tell an artist when an artist is doing a passion project and something they love is when they've taken the time to world build or build out their character and actually have heart and soul built into what they're doing. And it's not a one-off thing. And once I started digging through everything and watching this, I appreciate your art so much. And I appreciate the time that you've spent thinking about how this world works and what it looks like. And because uniqueness and individuality in this world is impossible. But Jonathan, you are like, this is a unique concept. I've never heard of this before, and I'm so enamored with it. So these puppets that you have, are they, obviously you've had them as far as I can tell, for 15, 20 years. Same puppets, same puppets cleaned up the whole time, no swap outs.
Oh, I have many puppet characters. I've got at least a dozen puppet characters that I've used in live shows at one point or another, or in videos, all kinds of videos. I just do all kinds of, like fun, zero budget videos too on social media. But as far as the project, this is the stuff that I care most about, the Trillo and Suede project. When I first created the characters, that was, was it around 1995. What does that make it? 30 years ago that I created those characters, and then gradually developed and wrote various scripts, screenplays. Eventually, through great ordeals, found ways to shoot a few of these things. The short film Oxford Park. Many years later, the Casa Noir short film. Then 2 seasons of the Trillo and Suede web series. Finally, a feature film. I've written several feature film screenplays that I haven't been able to produce either. Hoping maybe I'll get a chance to do one more at least after, depending how the Dummy Detective does. But I
Oxford Park 2, The Rise of the Puppets.
Perhaps, yeah, that's a possibility.
It's like Terminator, but with puppets.
Well, I left open that question to entice people to want to see more if I could ever do it. But I'm very happy that I was able to connect with Rob. He approached me a couple of years ago. I don't remember how he heard of or saw some of my work or something, and we discussed this. Actually, it was probably 3 years ago by the time we finally worked out how to do it, because Rob is an expert at shooting low budget and making it look like it's a lot higher budget. And so he's really experienced, really expert at knowing how to get things done on as low a budget as possible. And that made it feasible to finally, when we discussed it, okay, I'll make the plunge. We'll do this.
When we covered sound design and direction and shots and things about this movie, I would say this is one of the few movies that we had very little to no criticism on those points. I thought it was extremely well done, especially within the space, Rob, that you were given. The home, to me, and we have a bet going on between me and Nick, so this will be part of this question. The home they were using, not a set, actual home.
Of course. Not a set, yeah. A live location that we found.
Now, all of the creaking and cracking as people are stepping and the noises the house is making, was that put in post, or was that the actual sounds of the house?
Some of the sounds were live. Yeah,
I would say 90% at least.
Okay, was live?
Dang, all right.
You lose.
Yeah, live.
I knew it. I knew that house was acting.
Yeah. Either way, it sounded good. It sounded great.
It sounded really good.
Yeah. I said some because
it's a bed and breakfast in North Jersey called Les Saisons, which is like the actual sign. Yeah, that wasn't initially in the script. Like we kind of made it part of the script based on the location.
Yeah, beautiful location. Yeah. Great to shoot.
Yeah,
and also the blackness of the club and the wall. We know how much work that kind of space does, so that was great too.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that was actually in a nightclub in Newark, New Jersey.
In Newark, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Newark, that nightclub's probably awesome.
Yeah. Well, it was made to look even more awesome because of Rob and also the cinematographer, Yuri, the lighting, Michael Fisher. So we had a lot of great crew members.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Now,
one of the I wanted to say one of the hardest things about this movie was we shot it in 10 days. So shooting a feature film of this magnitude with that kind of lighting in 10 days, I had Yuri, the DP, and Michael Fisher as the gaffer, and just not being able to give them all the time that they wanted was one of the things that that was very hard on me on set. I wish I could have given them so much more time. Who knows what they could have come up with? But there had to be a line that I had to draw in order to make the shooting schedule on time and budget. Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's the difficulty of art meeting budgeting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great challenge. This was a great challenge. Very, very stressful constraints of the time, but I'm very happy with the result, and it's thanks to everybody, Rob and the rest of the crew, the actors. Everybody was very committed to getting it done.
I think there's only one day I think that we went over. I think every other day was like a 12-hour or less day, and then just one day up in Elliot Black's a room. We shot everything up in Elliot Black's room in one day, and that's the day that went over. And that room happened to be on the very top floor of the 4-story bed and breakfast that we were shooting.
It seemed tight in there, brother. It seemed tight.
Yeah, and we redid the entire room. Our production designer, Abby Marshall, her name is, she redressed the entire room. It's completely different than what it looks like normally. Yeah, we did all of that in one day. I think it was 15 hours. So taking that into account, a 10-day shoot, every day on time, and it's one day, 15 hours. I think that I'm impressed by that hardworking crew.
Yeah, Rob, was it 10 days at the inn, or was that including the nightclub? I forgot. Because I thought it was an 11-day shoot, but maybe it was actually 10. There was also one day off in the middle for people to recuperate. But it was either, maybe it was either 10 or
9 shooting days. I thought it was 9 shooting days at Les Saisons, and then 1 additional day, if I'm not mistaken.
You're probably right. It's probably only 10 days of actual shooting. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, go on. I was going to say, in respect to your all time, because I've already had you for a little bit longer than I said I would. Is there anything specific you want to shout out for, a social media shout out that I can clip for you guys? I would love to give you opportunity and space so we can post that.
Well, the most important social media address is the dummydetectivemovie.com, because that website has links to everything, to all the current platforms where the movie can be watched, because currently it's on Amazon US, Amazon UK, and it's also on a couple of other Zumo, I think it's called, Fawesome. These platforms also, you can watch it free with ads if you don't mind the ads. And then there are more platforms that are going to be coming soon. We were licensed for Tubi, so I'm not sure when, but
okay,
it will be on Tubi as well, and I'm sure a few more. So just keep track of everything. Plus, that website, the dummydetectivemovie.com, has the links to Facebook group and Instagram and YouTube.
Wonderful. And then thanks, guys, for joining us. I really appreciate it. I think the interview went very well, and thanks for making a movie. Thanks for putting art out into the world for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.